2 in the chest, 1 in the head. Not sure at the time, but XS big dot sights. They're fast. When I'm telling people about my XS sights, I've only had them for about a week and a half, but I've liked them a lot. In the time I've had to shoot with them, I feel like they do offer you the opportunity to be a little bit faster, bouncing that front sight off your target. But without fail, the question or comments I typically get in response are, what about at distance, or how do you feel like they are in terms of accuracy? You know, I'm looking at this as a combat sight. It's not something to go to the range and just punch holes through paper, you know, for fun. So I've got an indoor range here at work. I went ahead and threw a FBIQ style target out there at 25 yards, and I'm just going to take some shots and try to get them high center mass in the vital organ area, so we can look at accuracy in terms of distance. I'm not going to be looking to shoot one MOA here, obviously. Distance is always going to affect your speed. It's always going to affect your accuracy, because mistakes are amplified at distance because you're moving at an angle typically when you make mistakes. So, you know, what we're looking for here, at least what I'm looking for when I teach classes, is high center mass at distance. As fast as you can shoot high center mass. I'm not really looking for a fist-sized group at 25 yards. I think in a combat scenario, that's kind of unrealistic to expect somebody to shoot a fist-sized group on a moving target when they're moving off the X as well at 25 yards. If you're taking a 25-yard or greater pistol shot, it's probably a precise shot on a target that either doesn't know you're there, or maybe you're just shooting suppressive fire to get them back behind something until you can get cover or concealment. Are closed to engage. So what I'm going to do here is just shoot a string, go 4 or 5 rounds at 25 yards, high center mass, and let's just see how the XS big dot sight, and I do have the biggest dot on there, so if we are limited with accuracy at distance, it's going to be limited the most with the sights I've got on here. So let's just see what it looks like. Three in the chest, 1 in the head. Not super fast, obviously. Not really going for a ton of speed here. And even the speed I was shooting then, if the target doesn't know I'm there, then, you know, I may go slower than that. If he knows I'm there, I'm not going to even try to hit a headshot probably at 25 yards, because if he knows I'm there, I'm probably moving, he's probably moving. I'm going to aim a little towards the heart this time, just to give me something smaller to aim at. It's going to make me slow down, obviously, at 25 yards. And we'll kind of look at it from there and see, you know, if I can stack, you know, 2 or 3, you know, at or near the heart at 25 yards with this big, huge front sight. Can't really even see the heart. Front sight's so big. Putting it where I feel like it should be. What I do when I shoot a big front sight, and I had Trigicon HDs before I had these big dots, and what I typically did was try to ignore the outside edge once I found the front sight and put the middle of the front sight where I feel like it should be. I mean, I'll take that at this distance. I'm not even sure if it's on the camera. I'll take that at this distance. You know, it's not super fast and it's not a tight group. But it's most of those are fist size. I mean, most of those, these 4 down here are in that fist, give or take a knuckle or 2. Have one a little higher than that, but that's still a pretty good shot on target if this is a human target. So I don't feel like you're super limited in terms of distance or accuracy with the big dot sight. I know there's a lot of different theories out there, and there's a lot of people out there that's forgotten a lot more than about shooting than I'll ever know. But statistics are statistics, and statistics say that you're going to be shooting much closer with a handgun than 25 yards. So any decrease in group size and this style of shooting at 25 yards is acceptable to me just by nature of how fast I can shoot at typical defensive handgun ranges. So yeah, you may give a little bit. When I'm out there with that big dot, I mean the dot's here. Okay, so the dot is here. So you know you can't expect to shoot a group any tighter than what you see your front sight is on target. But bringing that in, as I kind of shown with that Mozambique drill or failure drill or whatever you want to call it, 2 in the chest, 1 in the head, you know, it's pretty fast. I'm not the best shot in the world. I'm not the worst shot in the world. I feel more comfortable with this as a duty weapon with these XS sights than I did with the Trijicon HDs, and that's all that matters to me. And you know, everybody's going to do what makes sense for them. But I feel more confident with these that I can get more rounds on target faster, and that's the equation for winning a gunfight. So there you go. It occurred to me that it would probably be a good idea to show an actual combat speed group at 25 yards with the XS sight. So I'm going to run this target back out to 25 yards. Nothing super scientific here. I'm just going to put a 6 rounds on target, you know, and something I would call a combat speed. You know, a lot of people preach that you never shoot faster than you can shoot fist-sized group, and I buy into that. Probably, you know, 10 yards and in. At this distance, I'm probably in a bad situation. If I'm shooting at somebody from, you know, 25 yards away quickly. So I'm aiming for the bad guy. You know, a general torso shot, 6 rounds, and I'm going to try to go as fast as I feel like I can go and bounce that front sight somewhere in the vital organ area, center mass on a torso shot. I can already tell that was garbage, but it is what it is. Let's see what it looks like. I know I flinched real bad on one of them. I tried to throw a headshot in there, but I don't know if I got it. That last shot, I shot at the head. There's my flinch, but most of you gentlemen out there will call that a combat effective shot. And so that was the flinch. I can't remember exactly which shot it was, but it was one of them. There's 2, 3, 4, 5. So the other 4, that should have been up in here, but I flinched. And then the headshot, I actually got it in the head. So once again, I realize that's not as fast as you'd be shooting at 10 yards in, but it's combat speed at a 25 yards, in my humble opinion. 5 of them right where I wanted them, 4 center mass, 1 in the head, and then a groin shot that's, while effective, was a mistake. So, but I'll live with that. All right, here I am again shooting the XS 24/7 big dot sights. This time, it's another thing I feel like I haven't shown that I get questions about. I did mention in my testing video where I just shot the Mozambique drill or failure drill, the 2 in the chest, 1 in the head. I said in that video that these sights, I purchased these sights for combat duty sights, defensive sights. They weren't really go to the range and plink and play sights. But the more I've gotten used to the sight picture, sight alignment aspect of the big dots, specifically sight alignment, I found that really you can go plink with them. You're not going to shoot bullseye at 50 yards with it, but what I've got out here is a 5-yard FBIQ target. Okay, so FBIQ target at 5 yards away from the firing line. I've got my XD40 tactical with the XS 24/7 big dots on it, the same weapon I've been using for all these demonstration videos. And on the target, I have got a 1 inch by 1 inch square target pasty. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can kind of see that, and I'm hoping that it'll stay zoomed in while I'm firing. And what I'm going to do is I've got a full magazine and one in the chamber, just some Freedom Munitions plated 180 grain flat point full metal jackets. And what I'm going to do is just throw an entire weapon's worth of ammo at that 1-inch square pasty, just like I'm at the range plinking. Maybe you and your buddy have got one of those battleship targets or something, and you're wondering, well, if I switch over to this XS Big Dots and I just want to go play with the gun at the range, and is it something that is going to limit me in that fashion? I don't think it is, but we'll find out. I'm going to shoot a 13-round group at a 1-inch square at 5 yards cold. Haven't shot today, hadn't shot in about 4 or 5 days, and let's just see what kind of playtime accuracy you can get out of these sights at this distance at that small of a target. Hopefully the blast won't knock my camera down. It's hard to see the square at this distance behind the sight because it kind of covers it up. I'm really not checking my holes, I'm just reacquiring sight alignment and trusting the sights, which is what you should do anyway. And I'll just look at the holes later. Alright, 13 rounds. Okay, that's pretty decent. Let's run this back. Okay, so, I mean, once again, when you're shooting something with a big front sight, it's only going to be so precise. I mean, this is the weapon I'm using. There's kind of the sight picture that you're looking for right there. And at distance, in fact, I'll run that back out there, and I wonder, of course, I know the camera lens is not exactly the same as a person's eye. That's going to bobble around a little bit, but let me just see if I can. I know the sight picture is wrong because it should be the front sight in focus and not the rear. It's going to be hard to make the camera do that. See if I can maintain that. So you can kind of get an idea of how big that dot is on a 1-inch target pasty. I'm sorry the camera's bouncing around. This is just a cell phone. But, I mean, if you're just wanting to come to the range and play, I think you can do that with the XS Big Dot sights. I mean, no, like I said, you're not going to be shooting bullseye. Come on, camera, quit being stupid. You're not going to be shooting bullseye at 50 yards one-handed with this thing. But, you know, that's 13 rounds at 5 yards. Just methodical shooting, not speed, obviously. Probably if you're plinking, I doubt you're even going to shoot that many rounds in a time without putting your gun down and kind of resetting or moving around or whatever. But I just wanted to put as many rounds as I can fit in my gun without an aftermarket magazine out the weapon at that distance at a small target and just give you an idea of what it's capable of in terms of just plinking and shooting at something small. And you know, for me, I'm happy with that. I mean, I don't need to shoot any smaller than that, even in playtime. I mean, it got a couple a little high here, and obviously the whole group is a little to the right. But like I said, you're covering up this much space with the front sight. So, you know, I'm not really too much worried about the fact that it's off the sticker. But you look at the group, that's still a 1-inch group. Besides these two flyers, if you want to call them that. They're all still touching. It's still one big keyhole. But if you take away these two flyers, that's what, 12 rounds or 14 rounds? Well, let me see. Wait, I didn't have my aftermarket magazine, so I had 13 total. So that's, you know, 11 rounds in a 1-inch, almost a perfect little 1-inch square. And if you want to throw those in there, I mean, you know, I feel like, once again, that's plenty accurate enough for anything you want to do. You know, if you want to come out here and plink and just play, shoot small groups and have a good time with that, you can still do that with those sights. You just have to really focus on the sight picture aspect of really getting a perfect lollipop with that sight presentation. You're not really looking for perfection in sight picture when you're shooting combat anyway. You're getting close and get it in your target in the vital organ area. But when you're out here playing and you really want to see how small of a group you can shoot, then obviously that becomes a little bit more important. And it's the same principle as a regular notch and post sights. You just have to get the front sight where it's supposed to be in relation to the rear sight. Obviously that relation is different with notch and post versus a lollipop sight. But obviously I think it speaks for itself. On a 40 caliber duty firearm, I mean, that's, you know, this is not set up for competition or anything. This is what I carry. So it's plenty accurate enough for playtime. I've drugged this out long enough, so bye.